Next Wednesday night. Hi, everybody.
Hi,
and
guys.
welcome to another episode of Martinis Murder.
I am so excited.
Because, Darren, where are we right now?
We're in Stamford, Connecticut,
That's
which, you know, we don't go to Connecticut too often.
That's true.
Especially in January, you don't want to be here.
Especially in January, but you know what? We are so delighted today to get to talk to Steve Wilkos.
Yes.
Steve
Thanks for
Wilkos
having
Show.
me.
You've been around, you've been a staple of my childhood, my adulthood, forever.
Yeah.
And you haven't aged a bit.
26 years straight in TV.
Wow.
That's a
Well,
pretty
it's a long-
good.
It's a long time getting a paycheck without interruption on TV.
Yeah,
so,
we saw them powder your head. I mean, that's like a huge accomplishment for me. I've
You've
always
made
wanted
it.
to see it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But thank you for having us and for
Thank
being
you.
here. We really appreciate it.
We should also mention we are here at the Steve Wilkos Show.
Yes, we are,
for
right on
those
their
of-
set.
So for those of you listening, just kind of visualize it, but you can also go to the Steve Wilkos YouTube page if you want to see what it all looked like.
Oh yeah, it's very, very lovely, and it's nice to have your name everywhere, right, Steve? It's not bad. Let's get right into it. We wanna talk to you a little bit about your background, and then of course the show. But you started out as a bodyguard on Jerry Springer. That's certainly how I think the public really got to know you first and foremost, right?
Yeah, I actually got hired just to do security for one day. It was a Ku Klux Klan show that they were doing, and they just wanted some off-duty police officers, just mainly because like the audience would kind of sometimes get crazy with those type of shows. So I went there to work one day, and then when they would do, and the show took a turn, like it became younger, more conflict kind of talk on the show, where then I was there more and more. And, you know, I'd be sitting around and Jerry would just start talking to me, and we both had a lot of common interests like baseball and things like that. So when the show really took off, he'd be like, hey, I have to go here, I have to go there. Would you mind traveling with me? Because he didn't want to be by himself. I said, yeah, I'd love to do that. And that's how I kind of really grew into the Springer Show.
When was that
Wow.
first
That was
episode?
1994. I started, and I was a Chicago police officer at the time, and I did both jobs as a policeman and working on a Springer Show from 94, and then I left the police department in 2001, so I did both jobs.
What was harder?
Being a policeman definitely was harder. I always say the Springer Show was the funnest time of my life. I mean, physically, I don't know if you saw me sitting down, my knee's totally shot. I just came from the surgeon, so.
What happened?
It's age, and
Yeah.
the knee's just totally kind of disintegrated.
Wrestling people off of other
So I
people.
could-
Falling down to the stage a million
I could beat you in a
times.
fight right now.
Oh,
I have an
no.
advantage? Oh,
No.
Steve, come on.
If I let you,
Yeah.
you maybe have,
Right,
but no.
right.
So there, you know, in the Springer Show, it was physical taxing. Like I got hit in the head with a chair.
Yeah.
I tore my groin. A million, you know, fingernails dug into my arms and stuff. But it truly was the greatest time of my life. So fun.
Yeah.
You know, when you're the second banana, there's no pressure on you, right?
Right.
When I have a show, it's all on my shoulders, right?
right.
Like it's my name. I have to make sure it succeeds. But when the Springer Show, and there was no rules. There was no like
Right.
even kind of script. Like even though it's not scripted TV, okay, we're going to do segment one and we're going to do this. Well, it could go just completely off the rails, and you do something else, and that's what was so exciting and fun. And then I ended up hiring all my cop buddies. So when I was at work, I was surrounded
right.
by friends. And
Yeah, but it had to have been surreal when the audience would start shouting your name.
the first time, yeah.
Yeah, when did you first realize you were kind of standing out
Like
in
your
a
own
different way?
Right, exactly.
So, you know, I had just came out of the Marine Corps, so I had very close cropped hair anyways. But I was going up on stage a lot, breaking up fights, and we were down in Florida in 1997, and we were doing spring break from Daytona Beach.
Yep.
Oh, spring
I
break
remember-
in Daytona.
I'm remembering some of that footage now that you
And
said
one
that.
of the producers said, hey, why don't you shave your head? You really stand out on the show if you do that.
Oh.
And I was like, even though I had a high and tight from the Marine Corps still going on, I didn't really want to do it, but I did it. And we went to a barbershop, but they wouldn't even shave it, like, because I guess laws in Florida or something.
Oh.
So then I went back to my room and I took my razor and I finished the job myself. Well, it looked like I ran through a thorn bush. I mean, you know, like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, 'cause you
put
can't
the
see every
thing
part.
in my
Right,
head,
right,
I'm just bleeding everywhere.
Oh, my God.
But then it really took off.
Yeah.
Like, people were like, hey, that's Steve, you know, the ball guy. And that's when really my fame, you would say, on the Springer Show really took off.
Did you always want to be in television? Like, how did you?
I never wanted to be
I
in
figured
TV.
not, but how did that sort of come about?
So, you know, my dad was he was a paratrooper in the Army. He was in the Korean War. He was a Chicago policeman. I always looked up to my father because my father was, to me, you know, when you're growing up, like he's this big, tough guy. And so when after high school, I went into the Marines and became a cop just like my dad. And that was going to be my career. Like, next month, I'd have 30 years on the police department. I'd be retiring next month if I would have stayed on the police department.
Wow.
That's surreal.
Unfortunately, now I have to keep working.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I never wanted, you might have like silly dreams, but my dreams was playing professional baseball, not being a TV star or having my own show.
My dad always says life is what happens when you're making other plans, and this seems to be a testament to that.
Well, and I always say, people, oh, you're lucky you went from being a cop to having your own show, which, but I go, luck never found me laying on my couch. Like, I hustled, man.
That's
I worked
true.
every side job in the world. People knew, like, hey, you need somebody, Steve Wilkos, go to him, and that's how I ended up here.
That's amazing.
What's the security like on the Steve Wilkos show? Do you have like a bushy-haired guy now?
It's very lacking.
Yeah, they're just expecting you to do it? Is that the deal?
I don't even.
He's looking around.
He's looking around for. I just want to see what I can get away
Mike
with.
McDermott, who he's not here right now, but he actually got me the job on Springer. So one
He's
day,
working here now?
We fly him in every week. He's still on
Amazing.
the police department. I don't know why, because he has his 30 in, but he's one of these guys, I love the job. But he asked, I was 1 o'clock in the morning. I mean, this one conversation changed my life completely. You know, I met my wife on the Springer Show.
That's right.
You know, I have my kids. I live in Connecticut. You know, all these things that happened. I was walking out of the police station at 1 o'clock in the morning in the 14th District in Chicago. And Mike said, hey, we need an extra guy tomorrow to work the Jerry Springer Show. Do you want in? I'm like, yeah.
And the rest is history.
Thank God I didn't have court or something next day, because I'd have been out and, you know.
Your whole trajectory would have been different.
Right, totally different universe I'd be living in right now.
So
anyways, Mike, he runs my security here. He's still out in Chicago at the police department. He's been with me through all the Springer years. And then when I got my show, we made him my head of security on this show.
Amazing.
I love that. You know, you were describing about being a former police officer, a Marine. What experiences from those jobs do you take to your show every day?
Well, you know, first of all, when you talk about TV shows, like when I got my show, if you look over, like even just the last 10 years of everybody that got TV shows that have failed, right?
Right.
Like the
Tons
people
of
that
them.
come out, you know, Ricky Lake tried to come back, Jeff Probst, Harry Connick, all that, you know, Queen Latifah, all these people much more famous than me and got shows and they fail. So I always say the Marine Corps, for this show to be a success, the work ethic that I had in the Marine Corps, like just working hard, and I always said, I'm not talented, but you can't outwork me, you know?
Right.
So when the stations say, hey, can you fly down here and do this? I'm there, you know, I just do it because I know that's what's good for the show. And a lot of people that get shows don't realize that. As far as being a policeman, there's not a lot different than what I did then than I do here. I don't physically make arrests on the show.
Right.
That would be cool, though.
You get makeup, not make arrests.
It would be great. And I would like to use force on my show.
Sure, yeah. Listen,
so would we.
So would we.
So would we.
Yeah.
We relate.
Come on down to the studio sometime at 30 Rock.
Yeah.
That's right.
So it's really interrogation, or I shouldn't say that word, interviewing.
Yeah, but it's similar skills, though, right? Yeah.
And me and my wife were driving this morning because she was talking about like what we're going to talk for this interview. And I said, remember that time I got that guy to admit crimes, you know?
Yeah.
So that part's really fun when I can crack somebody and they, you know, start confessing, and next thing you know, enjoy your 20 years in jail. You know what I mean?
I'm glad he's not interviewing us.
That's right.
So when they said, hey, we're going to give you a show, right? And they didn't say what type of show. It was like, here's a show. You figure it out. And I was like, what the hell? You know, come on. So, but we said, what are you best at? And I said, well, the only thing I'm good at is being a policeman. So just like I say, when you get a radio call, I was in patrol the whole time I was a policeman, you know, 1434, my old beat, go to such and such address, speak to Miss Smith. and you go there, and whatever the problem is, her daughter ran away, or somebody's going on here. You got a limited amount of time to solve that problem, just like we do on the show. You got an hour, and the show's geared around a lot with lie detector tests, and so the great thing is when I made an arrest, you fill out the report, or maybe you effect an arrest, then you sign a court date, you show up the court date, there's continuances. That's the legal system, right?
Right.
You come here and people are like, maybe they're dating a child molester or beat somebody accused of it, and they're living in the home with their children, They don't want to wait 2 years to find out, like a jury trial, find out this guy actually did it. They want to find out now. People come on, take lie detector tests. And Dan Ribicoff, who's our lie detector, he's a really tremendous, talented, has all the training in the world. I really believe that these lie detector tests are very accurate. So people get answers in a very short amount of time.
Right.
And a lot of them are in the legal system now. They're going through the motions of going to trial and everything else. So they're getting, instead of waiting 2 years or even 8 months, they're getting answers when they leave the show.
Do you get summoned for jury duty?
I do.
Have you ever sat on a jury?
Question. No.
I would feel pretty terrified if I was up in court.
Well, because
and so I'd be like, Steve's there.
Everybody's guilty.
Right.
No, last time
send them to jail.
I actually went here in Stamford, Connecticut, and I brought my iPad and 3 newspapers, and I sat down and I'm like, okay. And this lieutenant walked up and he goes, everybody's making a big stink about you. You got to go.
That's the best jury duty excuse.
And I was like, thank you.
That's amazing.
We have to shave our heads.
Let's do it.
It's
That's
clear.
what we need to do. I wanted to ask you were talking about lie detector tests, and I was just curious, how do you, as the host of your show, how can you sort of judge if someone is lying? Do you know when somene's lying after all these years?
What are the tells?
To me, and what people say, oh, the results. I don't even know what we're taping now. Like, when I come
this is Martinis Murder, just so you know.
Well, I'm saying my show, when we start taping, I have no idea what we're taping. I never know the results. But when I'm doing the show, you don't have to be a genius to figure out.
Right.
Yeah.
And the easiest way to find out somebody's lying is just have them tell the story.
Right.
One, most of the time, if it's like, they tell the story like a child, right? Like a child lies, they're lying, right?
Yeah, of course.
They're saying like crazy stuff. Adults are kind of the same way. And then if you have them tell the same story, well, say that again. And then when they don't say it the same way, then they're making it up, and it's just, So a lot of times I get a good feeling whether somebody's lying or not lying. But there's a few times where I'll go out on a limb and say, okay, I think you're going to fail or you're going to pass. But there's times I'm like, I don't really have a feel on this one, and it does surprise me. That doesn't happen often, but it does happen.
Wow.
Have there been any cases or any interviews that you have stuck with you that you're never going to forget?
Yeah, unfortunately, they're usually with children. We've had terrible stories when it involves kids because, as an adult, I don't want to sound like so hardened in my life, but I have become very hardened. But when you're an adult and you put yourself in a bad position, that's on you. But kids, they have no choice.
Yeah.
And I'm a father, right? Like, and
you have 2 kids, right?
Yes, I have a boy and a girl. Well, they're teenagers now.
Yeah.
But I try to give them everything that they possibly could need, and comfort and love, and
I'm curious, what do you want people to know about the Steve Wilkos Show? How do you view it in your eyes?
Which are very blue, by the way. I should
Never
point that out.
noticed.
Yeah. Like
Very piercingly blue.
there's like a blue background behind Steve for those of you listening, and it's like I'm looking right through
Yeah,
him
you're looking right
because
through
his
Steve,
eyes
man.
are so blue.
I'll say it like this. With the Springer Show and with all the great success it had, it was frustrating at times because you'd be out in public, and like I said, when I go back to the comment of, where do you find this trash? And I always hated that comment, you know what I mean? Maybe you're a little more fortunate than the people that have been on our show. But I did think that was going to be like the epitaph on my tombstone. Where did you find, what trailer park did these people come from?
Right.
With this show, it's nice to be in an airport or going through public and people come up and they're like, I really love what you're doing. It's a very positive message that the show does. I think we do some good things that, we either expose child molesters, expose people that are doing really bad things, get people answers that they so desperately need. So, listen, it's a TV show. I never try to kid myself. We're in it for entertainment. But the fact of it is, we do a show that I do believe has a lot of substance to it. We do things that really impact people's lives. Unfortunately for me, we've always shown a bright light on child molestation, right?
Yeah.
And when I'm talking to people in the audience, they tell me, "Oh my God, I love that you're doing that because I was a victim."
Totally.
And in a way, it's a little sad because you're like, "Oh my God, how rampant is this
So
problem?"
many people.
Absolutely.
in our
We hear that
country.
on our end too, just doing the show. We get a lot of people coming on and saying, "Thank you for covering this case. I had the exact same thing happen
Right.
to me." And it's like, wow, you
Or
kind
a
of
friend or a
realize.
sister, yeah,
Right.
for sure.
So that's what I would say to people is
Yeah.
I always got lumped into trash TV, right? Trash talk TV, all this
Sure.
stuff. I'm like, have you ever watched my show?
Yeah.
Like, if you watched it, you wouldn't say that because that's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
You might not like the people on my show, but the fact is, they're people and they have problems, and we're actually doing something to help them.
Yeah. What do you have instead of like a crazy moment from the show? Has there ever been something more heartwarming from your show that's really
Yeah.
stuck out over the last several years?
My wife actually did this because, and I like it to the sense that you don't always want to do, oh my God,
Exactly.
that's,
Right.
Yeah.
You need something uplifting.
Right.
So the one thing that we've incorporated into this season, my wife really was her idea, is we're doing Steve's Hero Moment, where every month we recognize somebody who's going out and doing something heroic, saving somebody, helping somebody in a time of need, bringing them on the show, recognizing it, telling their story, and we get a sponsor, and we are able to give them like an award. And it's people, the last one we did, which was amazing because we had it on camera. We got the security footage of, there was two young sisters, and a family member took them to this apartment complex to go swimming. And the little girl was in a floaty device, and when she jumped in the water, she tipped over, and she was kind of trapped under the water. And she was actually drowning. Well, her sister, her older sister, who's like 8 or 9 or maybe 10, sees her, jumps in the water, pulls her out, and does CPR. Like, how many adults
my
in this
God.
room here would know how to do CPR?
Right.
Wow.
And so, like, that was and because the daughter that was drowned and was underwater for a long time, she had some medical problems. The mother had lost her job because she's at the hospital taking care of her daughter.
Oh my God.
So this money that we awarded her gets her back on her feet.
Amazing.
The girl is, just how heroic is this? So we've been doing that every month with people that have done something, to either help somebody, save somebody. So that's nice to have that in our show now.
Yeah, that's
Amazing.
incredible.
Yeah,
so-
I mean, listen, you have a really an interesting background. You've seen a lot of stuff. You've talked to a lot of people. I'm curious how these heavy issues affect you personally,
Yeah.
and how you sort of cut yourself off, and can go home and enjoy your family and kids and not, I wonder you as a parent too. Like, do you
Yeah.
let your kids just?
I think
Go off
I
and-
think there was a long time that I did struggle with that.
Yeah.
How could it not?
I went
Right.
through periods of depression, drinking too much maybe.
Yeah.
I did make mistakes on how I handled the show, the limelight, all of it. I probably struggled much more with this show than I did with the Springer Show,
Why is that?
just because of the seriousness of it. The thought of I won't have to be a policeman anymore, and I basically still am,
Yeah.
on the show.
Right.
So, but now I'm in a good place with it. I think I reconciled the fact, like, okay, this is my job, just do it. You are getting some reward out of helping people, just like I did when I was a policeman.
Right.
And not taking, I'm very fortunate. I have a wonderful wife that we've been married 20 years now.
Who you met on the Springer
I
Show,
met on
right?
the Springer Show.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah. she walked out on stage, and I kind of knew right that moment I was going to marry her.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was kind of, it's a crazy story, but it's true. Like
Yeah,
I
that's
saw her
wild.
and I was like, "Who's that?" I go, "I'm going to marry her."
Oh, wow.
And I ended up marrying her.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, and you know, and I have 2 wonderful children, and listen, man, I live a pretty good life. Like I make a great buck. I work 2 days a week. I have summers off. You know,
It's not bad.
Are you hiring? Is
Yeah,
there any
right. I'll
way-
take the other 3 days.
I have a good family life. Like other than my wife and kids, I have sisters and a mother and a lot of good family and friends. So yeah, I feel very fortunate. And I need to focus on more positive things instead of getting dragged down with the show and the tough things and thinking about it. So
Yeah.
I moved past all that.
What do your old cop buddies think about you being famous?
You know, the guys that were closest to me, nothing's ever changed with them. And a lot of them I took care of. On the Springer Show days. They all made a lot of money, but I still stay in touch with a lot of them. And it's the sad part is they're all retiring now because we all came on together, and then you see like, oh my God, 30 years went by like that. Like we were all starting the Academy 30 years ago, and now it's all over.
That's wild.
Well, you've had 13 seasons of the show.
We're in
now?
our 13th season.
Are you going
right
to
now.
do 13 more, do you think?
I always said I wanted to be retired when I'm 50.
Right.
But then when you hit 50, you're like, well, what the hell would I do
right.
if I...
Life's a lot longer than it used to be.
What do you could do? You sit around like, I love to play golf, but like,
Yeah.
just can't play golf every day.
Yeah, no.
And that's it. Like, you got to have something more in your life. And as I was saying, my director was just here, and he was talking about his dad.
Yeah.
Like, he's 80. Oh, he shouldn't be running a business. Yeah, he probably should, because that's what keeps you alive.
Right.
My dad, he moved to Florida and didn't do anything.
Right.
And he lived a long life. He lived to 86, but like, his quality of life wasn't so good because he just shut everything down.
Yeah.
Bored, yeah.
And then, ended up having with all kind of health problems. And I do think it's crucial that as you age, you have something to get up in the morning for and go out and do something. So, like, if I did this 13 more years, so be it, man.
We'll be here for it.
I actually really do love doing the show now. There was a lot of times I didn't care for doing the show because it was, to me, a grind. And I got tired of hearing the difficult stories. Now I'm in a good place with it, and I really enjoy doing the show. And I could see myself doing the show for much longer.
We're surrounded by the crew, and they're like, yay!
I know, they're
seasons.
jobs.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Well, Steve, it was a pleasure talking to you
So-
today.
such
You
a
do
pleasure.
great work, and we really appreciate all
Well,
that you do.
thank you, and I really enjoyed being on your show.
Awesome, thank
Will you come be my bodyguard, though?
Those days are over.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want me as your bodyguard.
You got one knee now. I mean, what's good is this?
If you had to run, I would be out of the picture.
Have any of your guests ever tried to, have you ever been in a, threatened moment on your show?
No, but
No?
I'll tell you a funny story.
They know better than to mess with you, right?
So when we moved out here in Connecticut, I don't come out and look at my son and go, look what's over there.
It's nice.
But we used to have a chest back here.
On the back of the stage,
Yeah,
yeah.
a wooden chest. And on the top of it was a metal bowl,
Oh, God.
right?
Ooh,
Oh,
I
God.
don't like
And it
where
had
this is
like
going.
little loops on top,
Yeah.
So we were doing the show where this woman thought that her daughter was poisoning her every day. And the girl was like 16 or 17, and she was really, wholesome, cute looking.
Yeah.
I'm like, no way is this chick poisoning her mother. Well, she fails the lie detector test for pouring her mother. And it turns out she's pouring bleach into her mother's orange juice a little bit every morning, and the mother's drinking it. She's being poisoned. So the mother flips out,
Right.
runs back and grabs the bowl, which at this time, I'd never seen that damn bowl, and it's been there every day, every show. She picks up the bowl and tries to throw it at her daughter while I'm standing right here, and it comes out of her hand, and it cracks me right dead on my eye. I thought I was shot. Somebody
Yeah,
fell out
right,
gun.
of course.
I thought my eye must be out of my head. I went down like a ton of bricks.
Oh, my God.
And if you watch the clip, by the way, you'll see Mike, my security guy, running towards the stage, laughing. So my wife stands at the podium, she comes running up, oh my God, you need to go to the hospital. And the show was so great. I'm like, no, everything's fine. I'm like, I'm not bleeding, my eye's still in my head, we're good,
We're
let's
good.
finish the show.
Wow.
I go backstage, after the show's done, and the lawyer's like, don't worry, we're gonna take that out. I go, are you crazy? You leave that
Leave
in.
it in,
Yeah, right.
And it was the highest rated show we ever did.
That's amazing.
That is
What a story.
You
That's
suffer
the only
for your
time-
craft.
But that's the only
Yes,
time
yes.
I wouldn't even say hurt. It hurt temporarily for a few seconds, but
Yeah.
He's
Listen, he's very tough.
same thing with me.
Tough
Yeah,
guy,
no, it's
Steve,
casual.
over here. Yeah, totally.
Bowl over my head.
Throw a bowl
I
at me.
mean, like I saw the big, just like
Yeah.
lightning struck me.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It was
Oh my
kind of
God.
crazy. So.
You know good TV though.
Yeah.
You know good
I was
TV.
like, and it rated so, because half the people in my audience are like, yeah, I want that MFer to go down.
I want blood.
sure
Yeah,
they
I want
did.
blood.
Exactly.
Steve, thank you for
Thank
suffering
you
for
so
your
much.
craft. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. Thank
Steve,
you.
thank you so much for having
Yeah,
us.
thanks
and
again.
Come on to Martinis Murder anytime you
I
want.
would love to.